This is presented by Innova Consultancy in Sheffield, and it's part of the ELYME project, which is a partnership project across Europe with a number of European partners. And we're very excited to introduce our two female entrepreneurs who are going to bring us today a taste of Colombia, making it in business in the UK, which I think is quite an amazing thought, to think that you start up a business in another country. Think of the challenges starting a business anywhere, but to actually start in another country, negotiating language issues and so forth, I think that's going to be amazing. So we're going to hear presentations from Natalia and Daniela, and I'm going to ask them some questions, and we'll also bring in Marina at the end of the conversation. Marina is also an entrepreneur who's from Mexico originally, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her story as well. So we are recording this now, and the Zoom link has been added into the chat if you want to copy the link in case we've got any issues. So, you know, this idea of entrepreneurship, when do you take that jump, that risk? And if we think about what's happened currently with the current pandemic, how many people in business have had their whole ideas completely disrupted? So to hear from two women who have made it in business is going to be very interesting. And I just want to tell you about a couple of other events that we have. I won't say a lot about these now, but we've got an event, a set of 6 seminars happening about in July, starts tomorrow, Learning Together, about digital skills and tutoring. And in October, Get Confident through movement and storytelling. So if you're interested in those, do have a look at our website, and we can let you have the Eventbrite link after the session. So I want to now hand over to Natalia, who's going to present her presentation to us. So if I can hand over to you, Natalia, if you would like to take control, that would be great. I'll stop sharing my screen. Is everything okay, Natalia, for you to take that over? I don't know whether we've got.
I'm just checking if everything is okay with her now, Michelle. I just messaged her to see if it's fine.
Thank you. We're now recording this session, so we're just waiting for the handover to Natalia. I think Natalia is just reconnecting. She's got some issues, so just bearing with us.
She's in Colombia right now, and it's like 4 in the morning there. That she'll connect.
Yes, yes. You have to give some more credit for getting up at that early in the morning. Hi, Penny, welcome. We're just waiting for our presenter to connect. We're just having a couple of technical difficulties.
Ah, hi.
Hi there.
I can see you, but I don't know if you can see me. I don't think so. It doesn't look like the camera's on.
No, that's fine. We've just said to people to just connect with, mute themselves and don't have a camera on. That's fine.
Oh, okay, I'll just mute
Makes
myself
something
then.
more stable, hopefully. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Michelle.
Natalia's rejoined us. Ah, and the microphone's working. Brilliant. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Natalia. Are you able to share your screen?
Yes, I'm really sorry. I'm not sure what happened and my internet just went. But let's try again. Okay.
Great.
So hello everyone. So I'm Natalia and I'm the founder of Pura Panela. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story and my journey so far, a little bit of tips or tricks for you if you want to create your own business and be an entrepreneur. Just bear in mind that it's not easy and there are a lot of challenges, but yeah, I'll try to make it as positive as possible. So I'm from Colombia and I moved to the UK in 2010. I was working in Colombia as a lawyer. I think I have always been an entrepreneur, but I kind of decided to kind of don't go that way and decided to study law. And I was a little bit bored of working in Colombia in the court, and I wanted to do something fun or something different with my life, and I moved to the UK to learn English. At that time, I didn't speak any English. It was really hard. It was difficult, but also it was very much fun. I wanted to. When I say that I have always been an entrepreneur, I guess it's because I always, when I was little, I used to sell things. I used to sell sweets in school. I used to work in my mom and dad's shop when I was little. So I always had that desire to kind of be an entrepreneur. So when I came to the UK and I started to study at the university, learn English, I kind of knew that I wanted to do something exciting, something new. I wanted to create a business, but at the time I didn't know about what or doing what. So I wanted something that could really have an impact in my country, in Colombia. I always thought of having something that wasn't just a business for the sake of it. And I happened to find Panela. The story, it's interesting. I was in a park in Cornwall called the Eden Project, and I saw a showcase of Panela in that park, and I saw the product in a way that I never kind of seen it before, because when you have something really close to you and always there, sometimes it's difficult to appreciate it. So I guess I understood that I could do something with this product. So for those who don't know what Panela is, I will explain a little bit. So Panela has been in Colombia for many, many generations. It's our sugar of choice. So Panela is just the juice from the sugar cane, dehydrated. So it preserves the minerals and the vitamins that are present in the sugar cane, rather than getting rid of them like refined sugars do. So Panela is a bit more complex sugar. It has a more rounded taste. So yeah, it's just an amazing product. One thing I like about Panela very much is that panela it's produced and it's made and finished in Colombia. In a lot of Latin American countries, we are used to exporting our raw products for other people to transform them. And I like the fact that panela it's finished in the UK. And when I import it, it's already in the form that it should be sold. Panela has a really important impact in Colombia for the farmers community that produce it. More than 350,000 families in Colombia live from panela production, and I really like to be part of that work and make that impact. I really believe that the bigger the demand for a product like this, the bigger the positive impact that it could have in the communities in Colombia. But this is how, this is what the product is and how I vision the impact of that product in my country, in Colombia, and the reasons why I started the company. Just to tell you, if you have any comments or if you want to say something in the chat, just please feel free. I try to engage with you as well. So this is just a little like pictures to show you our kind of journey and how things are not, very easy or straightforward, or you have all the answers when you start a business. You don't have to have them. And if you see the pictures here, you can see, how it has been for us to get to where we are, which is the final packaging and the branding looking nice and stuff like that. It wasn't like this from the beginning. My first kind of panela that I sold, it's in this little box that is there on that square there, and from there we have gone through different changes. And I always say to people that I have kind of approached the business in a lean way. I don't know how many of you have heard of the lean startup or the lean way of doing business, which is always testing and validating your assumptions and your ideas. So perhaps at the beginning I thought, oh, people are gonna buy panela because it's healthy, because it's natural, and I have to kind of give it a look that reflects that. However, along the way, I realized that actually what sells panela or what makes panela so popular is the taste, and I have to kind of adapt and change, make it more colorful, more like brighter. So if you see kind of our journey in terms of packaging there, you can see that it's been a lot of testing, trying, understanding, listening to customers to really see what works and what doesn't work. I have had amazing opportunities, and this is a point that I want to make for you who are perhaps with the idea of starting a business or moving somewhere else, or the power of networking and the power of talking, and mostly the power of listening. So I have had these opportunities. I have been in events that I never thought I would go to, articles in newspapers, invitations, and everything has been from talking to people. And even if at the beginning my communication skills weren't great, my English perhaps wasn't the best, my networks in the UK weren't as big, it's always about being there and being able to take advantage of who you are. And even if I'm not, if my English was not perfect or I look different, a lot of people will be like, oh, I can't go and network or whatever because of that. However, I always say to people, you need to use that. Use your advantage of being different, of talking in a different way to engage with people. and the opportunities and the results that come from that are amazing. So this is just a little kind of overview of how we started the packaging and the journey. This is my first kind of palette of panela arriving to the University of Sheffield when I had my office there. This is what this is what I mean when I say about support networking opportunities. I have had so much support from both universities in Sheffield, from the European Union. There are projects, our design, our trips to foreign markets have always been funded by bodies that I have found just looking and researching and networking and talking to people. So we finally, after a long kind of hours of work, we have launched in Whole Foods in London, which has been really interesting. We have lots of customers in terms of like ice cream manufacturers, rum manufacturers. We have coffee shops, we have restaurants, and if I tell you that the majority of those opportunities have come from actually going and being there and talking to people, it's amazing what you can achieve. If you are a business who are minded of exporting, which I have always been, there are amazing opportunities with the Department for International Trade. I guess being like a foreign national or like coming from Colombia, I see the UK as an opportunity and a piece of the market, but the world is so big out there that I have never seen panela as a brand or as a product that it's only for the UK. And having that mindset of being international has really allowed me to kind of explore other opportunities, other markets. We've been to China, to Dubai. We have found customers overseas, and a lot of people who are perhaps not always open or familiar with opportunities like that have said to me, oh, but you have to kind of first conquer the UK and work here. But for me, it's like, why not? The opportunities are there, why not taking them? So with that in mind, I don't know what kind of business you are aiming to run, but always bear in mind having an open mindset. 3 times the word mind, but I think the mind is very powerful. And if you see, for example, my packaging here, we have different languages of markets that I thought it could be a possibility for me, one day, and they are there in the pack because I have always had that vision, and it has worked because I have done business in Dubai, for example, that having the Arabic translation of my ingredients have really kind of helped. So having that kind of open mindset is really important if you are going into business. This is our kind of packaging after you saw all the evolution. As you can see here, it's more colorful, it's brighter. We talk about Colombia, we kind of describe the taste, and we make the most of the taste of panela. And I learned that by actually talking to customers and understanding that people buy the product because it is tasty, and not only because it's healthier. People, when I thought, people want to be healthier, the trend is to be organic, natural, and people are going to buy it because of that. And I realized actually that it was the taste. So I guess what I'm saying is always worth listening to people and understanding your customer, validating your ideas and researching. It's it's very important. It doesn't have to be something really complex. It can be just, you know, I used to go to markets, the Moore market in Sheffield, or any market going, I would go and just listen to people. What do they say about panela when they try it? Will they buy it again? Will they cook with it? You know, and that feedback and instant reaction and ability to change, it's something that we as a small companies can have, and bigger companies kind of crave. So making the most of that opportunity of being flexible, it's very important. So this is just to talk about life and business in general, because I know lots of you want to be entrepreneurs or have businesses already, and sometimes it can be very overwhelming. So I always describe this experience as a funnel, and you have to kind of throw everything in, even the good and the bad, and everything is like, you know, like tornado, if you like, and sometimes can be very overwhelming. But the stuff that actually is worth, the stuff that is worth pursuing, the things that work, often get kind of filtered through the funnel, and everything is start making sense at one point. The key is actually sticking to it and continue to throw stuff in that funnel, even if it looks a bit messy, even if it doesn't make lots of sense. You know, you can't have all the answers when you are starting. You just have to go out there, explore, talk to people, network, throw stuff in that funnel that it will eventually give you what you need to have and what you need to follow up on. This is our kind of new packaging of panela for the food service. I wanted to show you because from this, I inspired to make something bigger about the brand. After realizing that working on my own, it's really hard, that actually making decisions on my own, building up all this pure panela business kind of on my own has been really hard. And I wanted to bring more products, and I wanted to kind of expand and grow, but I knew that I kind of didn't want to do it on my own. So this is why, or this is where I met Daniela, who is gonna speak after me. And he was this little guy who was the inspiration for our new products. So that's why I wanted to show you the Pura Panela sachet, because from the branding and from the colors and everything, you know, this is just to show you that nothing is finished or set. Everything is in an evolution and changing. And if you wait so long until something is perfect, it's never gonna be perfect. You have to kind of launch it, throw it out there and see how it evolved. When I started the business, I never imagined that I was gonna end up with another business, with another product. But this is how it has happened, and it has evolved. So this is a parrot that's always in my packaging and in my branding, and we use it for Daniela and I to create Loro Crisps, which is my new company with Daniela. It's been great working with somebody else. If you are going, you know, to create a business, and if you have the opportunity to do it with someone who is right, I think it's the best thing, because it's really hard work, have lots of challenges and decisions, that if you have somebody to bounce ideas off, it's always great. So we created Loro Crisps. They are plantain crisps, and I'm not gonna say anymore because Daniela will introduce you to the products and give you all the idea. So just to finish, I wanted to kind of, you know, from doing this business, from moving from Colombia to the UK, from all these things, I have these tips for you. Always try something new, no matter what it is. Just something that you have not done, something that you have not tasted. Just that helps your mind to be open, and that's very important. Always push boundaries. You know, I never say never, but I try not to take no as an answer. And I always, you know, my mom says that I'm like a dog with a bone, but it has to be like that. If you are determined, if you believe in what you are actually wanting to do, you have to pursue it. You have to go for it and push all the boundaries, and you know, be brave. Don't be afraid of failure, because, you know, I have had so many issues with things and packaging, and I can't, you know, I can't sit here and tell you all the issues that I have had. But being able to, you know, have a bigger vision and an idea of where you are going, that all these little kind of hiccups don't stop you, and you're not afraid of failing, because you know that you are resilient to carry on and to stand up again and do it, because it's hard work. You have to keep going. So this is my last point. Keep going. I have realized that actually starting up is the hardest bit. It's the most fun bit, but it's really hard also because people kind of don't believe you or don't trust you, or I don't know what it is. But once you have been there long enough, people start seeing you different. And this is where I think keeping going is the trick. A lot of businesses fail in the first 2 years because it's so hard that you kind of want to give up so many times. But if you keep going, it eventually will happen. You know, once I heard that before and I thought, oh, it's not actually true, but it is. Just keep going. And just because, to finish with, these are my contact details. Feel free to contact me. I will reply. I will help if I can. And if you want to partner with us, I say in there, it's about, you know, you want to sell something, you want to have a business, but you don't know where to start. If you have contacts, if you want to sell panela with us, we can work something out. And I like giving the product to people to kind of have the opportunity to become an entrepreneur and test the water. So speak to me if you want to know more about it. And yeah, I'm happy to take questions if you have any.
That's great. Thank you so much, Natalia. If anyone does have a question, perhaps you'd like to all show your faces on camera now, if you want to. And if you've got a question, feel free to ask a question. I know I've certainly got one, if I could just butt in and start off with. I was curious to know, did you do any research on whether or not you thought that this product would be accepted in the UK? Or did you just take a risk?
Okay, this is a good question. When I started thinking about panela, I wanted to take the risk, and I wanted to believe that everybody would love it. However, I didn't kind of launch myself and brought lots of panela and then realized that actually perhaps it wasn't as easy. I started just bringing little quantities, buying little, you know, if you saw my pictures, like the little boxes, I started just with that and going to markets and like food markets and things like that, where you put up your table and you show people the product. That's where I realized that actually was taste what was driving people to actually buy the product. And I also realized that you have to tell people what to do with the product in about more detail than I actually thought I should or I would. So yeah, my research was just going out there and talking to people and taking it to markets and putting it out there yeah, being willing to listen.
Yeah, and you said a lot about testing assumptions, which I thought was really good as well. Yeah, we've got a question here from Julie in chat, and she says, another good question, what was your criteria for selecting a partner?
Oh, okay. Well, I think, Daniela, I didn't actively look for a partner and kind of, you know, like an interview process. It was a question of, you know, when I say that you have to be open for opportunities and for things to happen to you, but you have to be there and you have to be open. I just met Daniela in our offices in the University of Sheffield, and we started to talk about business and opportunities, and she's from Colombia, and it kind of happened so naturally that it was just, I think, the opportunity, and Daniela found me rather than me finding Daniela, which is,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Does anyone else have any questions they would like to ask? If you want to, one from Gloria, a technical question. Did you export the raw materials or a ready-to-sell product?
Okay, so I didn't want to kind of go into more details because I thought it was, you know, short time, but my kind of 3 parts of my market, of my business, is the retail side, which is where I sell panela in my retail bags and the branding and everything, also food service and industrial, so wholesale. So yes, I sell panela as sugar replacement for people in the food industry, for innovators, for people, you know, who want to make stuff and use a healthier sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we bake with panela?
Yes. So
Yes.
panela is great, yeah, for baking, for cooking. It's great in coffee. The taste, it's really amazing. It's just to use instead of sugar.
Yeah. So all you lockdown bakers, go for it. We've just got one last question here from Supatra, who says, please share one of the major obstacles working in a different market, how you overcame it.
Okay. I think being able to, a lot of people would say, oh, it's a cultural difference, that it's really a challenge. And I have heard a lot of people describing that as a challenge. And I wouldn't say that's my challenge, because having come from Colombia, going to the UK, I love traveling and learning and listening to people. So I guess the stuff that can be challenging for a lot of people, it's different for me. I think for me has been more about the resources. So you know, going to another market, understanding, talking to people, and actually making it happen. It requires that you really put your resources to it. So yeah, I think I will say more resources rather than cultural, as everybody would perhaps say.
Interesting, right, thank you very much. Well, I'm sure there might be opportunity to ask more questions at the end. So if you've got any, just jot them down for yourself. And I'm going to hand over now to Daniela, please, if she's ready to share her screen. That was great. Thank you so much, Natalia. Really interesting.
Thank you.
So, Daniela, over to you. Oh, your microphone is muted, Daniela.
Okay, can everyone hear me okay? Let me see if I can. Okay. So yeah, that was a bit of an introduction to Laura Crisps. Laura Crisps is a company that me and Natalia started. So I want to cover a couple of things. I want to cover what we've done so far with Laura Crisps, the importance of networking, challenges of being an international entrepreneur, and there are a couple of tips and tricks that me and Natalia have found throughout the years that could help you guys to start your own business. So as Natalia was saying, this idea started out of an opportunity. So I was finishing university, University of Sheffield, and I wanted to start a business bringing a food product to the UK that could join the two countries that I love. So I was thinking first of bringing frozen fruit, and I started calculating the cost, and I saw that was not viable for me, and I had no idea how to start a business. And then I was talking to Natalia because we were based at the same office, and she was like, well, why don't we bring plantain crisps? And I was like, well, I love plantains, and this has been the snack in our childhood forever. And we started then thinking, and every time my British friends went to Colombia, they used to bring plantain crisp with them. And every time Natalia's husband used to go to Colombia, he loved plantain crisps too. So we're like, well, there might be a market for us here. So we brought a couple of plantains to the UK, and we started testing them out, and we started giving it to our friends and seeing what they thought. And we were like, you know what, there is something there for us, but we have no branding, we have no name for the company. And after a lot of hours, we started watching YouTube channels, and we saw that parrots eat plantains, and loro means parrot in Spanish. So we were like, what? Loro crisps, there we go. Found the name for the company. So that's how the name came about. And we started with the whole brand, trying to think that each flavor represented a different parrot, and each parrot represented a region in Colombia, and it was colorful, it was fun, it was exotic. So we were really lucky to get funding from the European Union to get this first branding. So the first branding, we did it with Design Futures, which they are based in Hallam University. And those 5 packaging theirs, that's what they came up with. They basically managed to get into Natalia's and I's mind and draw what we wanted to do. We wanted to have different colors, different parrots, and be fun. And if you can see the one on the bottom, that's the one we went for. So after a lot of changing nutritional tables and testing the product, and we went to a couple of markets with just the plantain crisps to see if that worked. A funny story is that last year we went to China as part of Sheffield 88. We didn't have a brand, we just had the product. And we went with the product in a plastic bag just to see if it worked. And we found out that people really liked the product, that the product was actually amazing, and the people were buying the story. So our story was connecting the two countries we love through our branding, through something colorful, and through our parrot that is the ambassador. So then this April, we got our first batch of products, our samples. And that was one of the most exciting moments for Natalia and I. So what is actually a plantain, and what is a plantain crisps? So for you that don't know a little bit about plantains, plantains, they look very similar to a banana, but you can't eat them raw. Plantains are they are a fruit, and they are a staple fruit in Latin American and Afro-Caribbean cultures. We have plantains with everything. And then when you slice them and fry them, and then you add a little bit of flavor, you can have all of these delicious alternative to potato crisps. They are healthier than potato crisps. They are lower in sodium and higher in potassium. So that's the product itself. Right now, this is our finished product, which is, we have 4 flavors. We have Zipaquirá salt, we have Quimbaja limon, which is with a touch of lime. We have the chili ones, and we have Urabá sunshine. The really interesting thing about Urabá sunshine is that the plantain, when it's ripened, it gets a natural sweet, and that's why it's a little bit different to the green plantain you've seen before, but it tastes delicious. So that's the finished product. It took us almost a year to get it ready. And this is where we are right now with the company. So we are on the pre-sales phase of the company. We have been talking to supermarkets and buyers, and we are making the pre-orders. And the reason for this is because our product is made in Colombia. We need to create big orders for us to bring the product and make it sustainable and economically efficient. So that's where we are. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of networking. And Natalia touched on this on her presentation. But basically, networking is the most important thing when you start a business. And you need to find how networking works for you. So for example, I am a little bit more shy than Natalia. So my networking is mainly online. So I try to have a really strong LinkedIn. I try to have really strong personal branding that I can use to network. But that also means that then when you have a face-to-face network, they know something about you. So all the time I tell to people, having a strong LinkedIn is really important nowadays. But also when you go to events, don't be afraid to talk to people. Everyone started somewhere. And as Natalia said before, sometimes they don't believe what you're doing, but after charming persistence, you make yourself established and people will start believing in you. So the first picture there is Natalia in Dubai. She went with our products last February. Then the second picture there in the middle is me and Natalia at an event with Sheffield Hallam University at Sheffield University, where we had a stall and we were talking to people, and that was also testing the product because we wanted to see what people thought. We watched the flavor they liked the most and things like that. And then the last picture was at a festival last year where we didn't have the branding ready. We just had the flavors. So we took the flavors in bowls and see what people liked, what they didn't like, and yeah. And then challenges of being an international entrepreneur, because I feel this is where people will connect a lot. For me personally, there's three topics when you see of challenges as an international entrepreneur. The cultural differences for me is more of terms of selling. So you need to understand the other culture to get to know how to sell to these people, especially if you want an international brand like what we've done with Pura Panela and with Loro Crisps, that our borders are not just the UK, but everywhere. So we have been talking with buyers from Japan, from Germany, from Ireland, from China, from everywhere. And the way you talk to them is very different. So you need to understand how to do it and then do it the correct way. But also when you have a brand, and this is where Loro Crisps differentiate from other brands. We wanted to get this brand to the shelves from all the supermarkets. We want to see our brand competing with all of the alternatives to potato crisps. Plantain crisps are not new in our culture. They have been in our generations forever. But when we get those products in this culture, that's when we'll succeed. So that's where I think the cultural differences are. Then with funding, well, because we started a company in a new country, we didn't know how to fund it. So we had to ask, we need to look everywhere and just knock on doors. We've been rejected thousands of times, but 1 or 2 times we haven't been, and that's where the doors have opened in terms of funding. There is funding available, but it's how you approach it and just charming persistent. And finally, in terms of loneliness, and I think this is something entrepreneurs will always say, sometimes you'll see that starting a business is just you and your computer. And it is a lonely journey because sometimes it's just you and your co-founder and then a whiteboard bouncing our ideas and then just making it work. And it could be a really lonely bit and a really lonely journey. And that's why I always think of having like a very healthy relationship with this, doing a lot of mindfulness, trying to understand that even though you're in a lonely journey, you can network, and you can network with other people in the business, you can network with other entrepreneurs and share your struggles, because sometimes they're really small struggles that you don't know who to share with. So entrepreneurship is a lonely journey, but network and you'll see it will make it a little bit better. And I wanted to give you guys a couple of practical tips that me and Natalia have used throughout our journey, and we hope that they could be helpful for you too. So first of all, to find inspiration, maybe some of you have heard of these two apps or softwares before. Canva is the best thing that ever happened for people that have no idea about graphic design skills. It's free to use, and it's what we've used for our journey to start. Our first logo was created on Canva. It didn't look very nice, but it gave us an idea of what we wanted to do. And Pinterest, you can get so much ideas about branding, about colors, about it's just very good for creativity and to always start being on trend and seeing what's out there. So this to create great things. Then to network, and I think this is very important. To network, we've used Facebook groups and Eventbrite. Facebook groups, sometimes you don't know the power that Facebook has. There's so many groups out there where you can ask for help. There is a food and drinks group that me and Natalia use really often, and they are incredible. It's full of entrepreneurs in the food and drink industry, and we ask them anything, any question. And Eventbrite, it's great to find events that are going on around you. And nowadays that all of the events are online, so you can jump into any event around the world and make friends and just ask about your struggles. So these two are great to network. I think to communicate, as I've said before, LinkedIn is great. We have been approaching buyers through LinkedIn. So I've been literally looking for buyer in this supermarket and just messaging them and asking them, this is my company, I want to sell this because my company is great, do you want to sell my products? And yes, you'll have a lot of rejections, but keep pushing because it works. And again, email, check your emails. I try to keep my email really organized, and that has helped to keep on top of everything, because when your business start moving forward, you'll get so much emails, and just try to organize your time just a little bit in the morning or a little bit in the afternoon to reply to emails and be on top of it. It's really useful. And I think for my mental health, it has always been really useful to meditate, especially because entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. I use the app Calm. I've been using it for the last 5 years, and it's great. I use it 10 minutes a day, and it's really, really good. And also there's this little book that is called a 5-minute journal, where you write your goals for the day, something that you like about yourself, and what you want to achieve. And then at night you reflect again. And this reflection is really good because sometimes you feel that your business is not progressing or not going anywhere. So having something to reflect on, and then you can read what happened 10 days ago, you'll be like, you know what, I actually achieved really good things. So I think having a really balanced life is really important for your mental health and for your business journey. And finally, I feel we need to have a student mentality all the time. As Natalia mentioned before, this book, The Lean Startup, is, I think, a must for any entrepreneur. It's about testing. There's also a really good book called The Mom Test, and it's how to ask questions to everyone else except your mom. Because if you ask your mom, Mom, do you like my business idea? She will always say yes. Your mom will always say yes. But it's how do you ask people about your business, and to make sure you want the right answers and they can criticize it and make it better for you. Also, I love podcasts. I love hearing about other entrepreneurs, how they started. These two secret leaders and how I built this. They interview one of the best companies in the world. Calm is one of the business. They interview Duolingo, Amazon, all of these things. But it's really interesting to hear how people went through nothing to something. And sometimes it's just really good, like in the morning, if you're cooking, make your breakfast, put this podcast on, and it will give you a bit of motivation to keep going and keep pushing for your business, because sometimes you need to find that keep you going and motivates you. And finally, there's so much information out there to learn. So I use a lot of Skillshare to learn about like creativity, graphic design, anything like that. But also Coursera and edX have excellent online courses from the best universities in the world for free if you want to learn about statistics, business, entrepreneurship, anything like that. And our best friend, Google. If you don't know something, Google it. At the beginning, I didn't know a lot of business terms, and I had to go and talk to these buyers about terms. I had no idea, but I had my laptop in next to me, and I just Google it. So those are my practical tips of how to start a business, how our business is coming about. And right now, Laura Crisp is doing pre-sales. So I invite you all to please follow us, connect with us, and follow our journey, because the best thing we need right now is people like you that wants to start a business, that believe in us, and that hopefully will follow us from the beginning all the way to where we want to take our business. So if you have any questions, please write to them. And if you have anything else, just message me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniela. And what I'm taking away, I love what you were saying there about charming persistence. And I think you've both got that in absolute buckets full. So thank you for some very interesting ideas there. Does anyone have any questions? If you'd like to drop them in the chat. And I've got a question, actually, perhaps I'll start off. I was just wondering what sort of obstacles you had. Did you have to have food tested before you could import it and have it approved in some way? It would be great.
Yes,
sorry, could people switch their cameras on? Because it would be great if our hosts could see their audience. If you'd like to switch your cameras on. Sorry, Daniela, do continue.
I think food industry, one of the things me and Natalia, it took us the longest to find the right supplier and to find the right manufacturer that would align with our principles. That was in Colombia, because that was extremely important for us, and that will have all the certifications that we needed. So we talked to a lot of people. We connected with Colombian government, because they help us a lot to find the right manufacturer. And when we had the products ready, we send it to trading standards. They check our nutritional tables. We had to change it again, reapprove it, and all of that process was really slow. But to get the right product, it has to be done. It has to be done. So yeah.
Great. Any other questions? Has anyone got any questions in the chat? I've got lots, but I don't want to hog the whole thing. One other thing I was just wondering about was about your sales growth, because I think you're looking to import and sell all around Europe. So can you say anything about the growth of the company and the products?
I think with our business, we started, as Natalia said, with Pura Panela, from testing. And because our products are produced in Colombia, we can't bring a whole pallet without having any buyers ready, because the shelf life of the product is not infinitive. So that's why we needed to start small, then medium, and then grow. Right now, we're in that from small to medium part. We are bringing 2 pallets, and 2 pallets is around 9,000 units of products, hopefully by September. It took us a while to get there, because we needed to test the product to make sure it was ready, and to get some funding for that, because it's not free. So after a while, that's where we are. And hopefully after September next year, we can continue growing, getting to more supermarkets, start exporting more, and making the supply chain a little bit more consistent.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone like to ask anything? Does anyone have any questions about your partnership? About the partnership between you? I'm curious, actually, whether or not you've got complementary skills. Or have you got completely different?
It's quite funny, and I always explain it saying, my inbox, you will never see it, completely disorganized, and Natalia is. But
Right, okay.
Natalia is more a goer, and she is more adventurous than myself in some circumstances. So we complement each other really well in that way. I feel Natalia has more experience in selling, but at the same time, I had that like sparkle of being a first-time entrepreneur, and that everything is beautiful, and sometimes you need that. So
Yeah.
I think we do complement each other really well in that sense. And we had some moments that I felt really down, and Natalia has pushed me up, and vice versa. So for example, when we were in China, there was a networking event that I literally had an anxiety attack, and I was really nervous. And Natalia was like, you know what, we can do this, and she pushed me to go and do it. So that's that. I think that's why sometimes you need a business partner, because first of all, bouncing ideas to someone else is the best thing in the world, and second, you need someone to push you. So if you can find someone that complement you, that's the best thing.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything you want to add, Natalia, about Daniela's skills, complementary skills as a partner?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to have found somebody who has a different approach to things and different skill set than I have. It's very interesting how we work together, how we see things from different perspectives. And one of the biggest challenges for me have been setting up a business on my own, having to wake up every morning and push myself on my own, not having anybody there to bounce ideas off or making decisions. I think decision making is such a tricky thing, because you have to make a decision, and Daniela is really good for that. I'm very sometimes I don't make the decision, so Daniela is very like, okay, we need to do that. And as she says, it's just pushing each other. I am a little bit more messy, and Daniela is more organized, so I can kind of go and talk to people and do all the kind of talk. But Daniela, it's more like, okay, we need to follow up. How are we gonna do this? And I think it works really well.
Yeah, and I suppose you learn from somebody you work with like that, someone who's more confident, yeah, and can push themselves. Great. A few questions in the chat here. Tanya wanted to know how you work together. I don't know whether that's been answered or not. Was there something specific, Tanya, that you wanted to ask? Perhaps you could drop that in the chat about working together. Gloria says, you mentioned networking is key to business. Do you think you might need to change some of your strategy in the future with the current pandemic situation?
Yes, and I think that's why like having a strong online presence is so important nowadays, because networking is online now. People are still working, but they're working from home. So how do you get to them? So that's why I always like say, have a strong LinkedIn, network on LinkedIn, network on Twitter, network through your website. Because right now we can't just go and like knock on Sainsbury's doors. We have to do it through online. So yeah, I completely think that things are changing, and is how do we adapt our networking to that?
Yeah.
But can I say something on this point? I think I heard the other day something that it's really true, and I have not considered it before, which is, I am very much face to face. I really like going and engaging and talking to people. But I heard the other day that actually this online opportunity can open so many doors, and it can be a leveler. So, before you had to kind of make sure you get invited to the event, that you are in the right place, in the right time, with the right kind of mindset or whatever. Whereas now people are more willing to listen to you, even if it's with an email. And in an email, you can be whoever you want to be. You can sound, and you don't have to kind of be in the physical world. You have to be in a certain way to have some chance. Whereas I think you know, for people who are not perhaps the best at going out there and talking to people and engaging, I think digital can be a very good opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, good. A few more questions here. And comments, actually. People are commenting that in their cultures, plantain is used. So someone who's talking about it in Nigeria, and her daughter, who's a DJ, her name is Plantain Chips. So perhaps she
Oh,
could, that would be good, wouldn't it? And yeah, so, and I think Supatra had also mentioned about plantain in Indian and Eastern southern part. They make kofta from it, and she wants to know how she can access your product. So how can people get hold of it
Very
now?
soon.
Very soon. We need to look
So
out.
right now, yeah, follow us, and if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, we'll let you know when you can get them online. Because basically we have some samples in the UK with us, and we are about to finalize a couple of deals to get the 2 pallets, the 9,000 units by September. So if you just keep an eye on our online presence, we'll let you know where you can get them online. But yeah.
Okay, you do that, follow them, and then you'll find out about, yeah. And people are commenting as well that, you know, it's great to see businesses working together, and you're doing businesses which benefit local communities. So a lot of big business goes in and exploits people, and this is very much sharing, yeah. Okay, maybe we'll have time for your question at the end, Jing. We'll see how we go. I wanted to move on now and invite Marina, who's the director of Innova Consultancies, to join the conversation, because Marina is originally from Mexico, and she's built a fantastic business in the UK. So Marina, could you tell us a little bit about your story, please?
Hello, everyone. Great to see all of you. And I know you have heard a little bit about my story, but just very briefly, because I think I share what the journey of so many international faces here, and also international mindset, because you can be from the UK but have that international perspective. When I came from Mexico 20 years ago, I came to study. And I think that is so important when you think you're from another country. We tend to forget, in terms of Maslow hierarchy, that when you leave your country, you have left everything you know. Your networks, your home, your family, your traditions, your contacts that are really good in business. And when you start in a new country, it's like setting up a business, right? What is a TV license? Where do I get the supermarket? What about loans? What about even accent? Even you might speak English. However, even if you speak very good English, it's not your native language. So language is the most important thing for communication. However, I think that's what made me a real entrepreneur, having had left my comfort zone of where I was, you know, in my bubble back home, to arrive here with a massive debt that I knew I had to pay back because I was funding my own studies. If my journey would have been different, and speaking a lot to Natalia and Daniela, and Natalia, I have known Natalia, I don't know, maybe for more than 10 years. I think that is the challenges and obstacles we have all found when we have moved to a new country. That is what made entrepreneurs. Without that, I don't think I would be where I'm right now. Because what Natalia said is so true. Once you have left home, you realize that everything will be okay. Like this phrase that jump or leap and the net will appear. You know, you just have to do it. And there's no other option than ringing back home and saying, oh, can you please send me money? That was not an option for me. So I had to do networking and find out ways that could help me. So I was very lucky about finding a job in the university when I was a student, but I really needed a job because, of course, I had a big debt. So that also pushed me and be brave enough to go for job interviews that I would have never gone for, right? Because I was in a new country, so I didn't really even know how to prepare for an interview. But the need, the necessity really makes you brave. And once I heard a quote that, you know, the best way of building confidence is doing those things you're really afraid of, right? That's the only way you build confidence. Even you are so scared, you just have to do it. And, you know, back home, we don't have benefits. It does this thing like, you know, like in Western societies where if you are quite comfortable in that respect. So I really needed the income to come along. So after working almost 5.5 years in the university, I thought, well, it's time for me to set up a business. And very much similar to what Natalia and Daniela were saying, I wanted to make a difference. I didn't want to work into business that would only sell things. I really knew what was my passion, and that was making a difference in people's lives. And a lot of things about entrepreneurship, because my journey was hard. So I wanted to really, I could empathize with that. And therefore, after almost 5.5 years, I set up Innova, which is going to be 20 years next year. And it has been a fantastic journey. So just the key here is very much what everybody have said. When we are international, we take for granted because we hang out with international people. But I think a lot of our courage is still there to really take risks. And sometimes we think it is really hard. But I remember when I met Natalia that she had only her designing paper of what she wanted to bring. But just even seeing what works back home and bringing it into a new country is fantastic, right? Because, like you were saying, Danny, the plantations are something that you ate back home. And that when you see products that you have back home and you go like, well, that will work. But not only that, a service, right? Things that you see are working in other countries, and then you sort of realize that it does not exist. But with one important message. When I came to Sheffield, I realized that there were no Mexican restaurants 20 years ago. And I thought, wow, that is a massive niche in the market. However, I know I don't enjoy cooking so much. And then I realized that's great, but it's not for me. So it's also important to know where your passion is with regard to the opportunities that are out there in the market.
Thank you, Marina. Are there any questions for Marina? I've got a question. What advice would you give your younger self, Marina, if you were thinking about business?
I think trust, when you are young, you're crazy. You do other things that people, when you're older, you wouldn't do. But at the same time, you're not so courageous. You miss confidence, right? So I think I would just be a little bit even more courageous, because we tend to regret the things that we didn't do more than the regrets that we don't have regrets so much of what we did, but of what we didn't do. So I think I would even have done even much more and having the confidence of going for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And could I ask the same question of Daniela? What advice, Daniela, would you give your younger self?
Stop comparing yourself with everyone else, especially because, for example, now if sometimes I struggle comparing myself to my friends that are doing like graduate jobs and they're on X salary, and I'm like, I'm keeping going. So for me, it will be stop comparing. We're all in a journey, and I think just you, yourself, and I, no one else. That will be the main one for me.
Yeah, very good advice. And we know that psychologically it's not great comparing yourself with other people. Yeah. Natalia, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think for me it would be follow my instinct a bit more and stop being so, afraid sometimes. I have learned, now, and I've been learning that actually just going for it and following that feeling that you have in your belly, it's the best thing. And sometimes, even now I struggle to follow it, and it's so yeah, that's my thing.
Great, thank you. We've got a question here from Juliana. Did you ever think of giving up at any point? Either to Daniela or Natalia?
Well, I can say, yeah, many times. Marina knows. It's unavoidable. A lot of people say, oh, why don't you get a proper job, or people think that actually setting up a business is kind of the easy option, but actually this is really hard. this is not easy. And you know, a lot of people say, or used to say before I set up the business, that this is really hard work, that you have to really work hard, and you're gonna doubt yourself, and you're gonna think, oh my God, I'm gonna give up so many times. And actually, you don't know how hard it is until you do it. But it's so rewarding at the same time. It's like a roller coaster. So you could be at the top and be so happy and thinking I'm making it, and then bang, down again. So you have to kind of be resilient and be happy to accept that sometimes it's only natural. You want to give up because this is hard, but then it's acknowledging that and actually say, okay, this is just normal. Sometimes I feel like that, but I'm not giving up because I really believe on this thing, and I'm gonna keep going, and no matter what. But yeah, it's a thought that every entrepreneur, I think, has. It is, you know, it's just natural.
Yeah, great, thank you. Has anyone got any more questions for any of our panel here? Marina, Daniela, or Natalia? You could ask them an individual question or a question about the partnership. Question from Gloria, who's just curious about this. Do you work with any food bloggers? Good question.
Not yet, but I think I love marketing, and I believe influencers and anything like that is the future. So we have a couple of ones. So if you are a food blogger, Gloria, get in touch.
Yes.
I thought I'll put the microphone on because it's much easier. It's just because I was in another webinar a couple of days ago, and I met a couple of food bloggers that are actually like part in chefing. I have my own like Instagram, but I was just curious because I think your product looks really amazing, and it would be pretty cool to have it like plastered all over with recipes as well.
Yeah, I have worked with food bloggers before and with influencers, and I really think it's great. I like to do more of that. Recently on Instagram, I have, you know, been approached by so many people who have amazing stuff going on, as you said, like Instagram or blogs, and I have sent them panela. We haven't done it with the crisps, but I have sent panela, and they have made things and shared it on their stories, and they have encouraged other people to buy from my website, and it has worked really well. And so yeah, I want to do more of that as well for the crisps. So if you know anyone, or if you want to get involved, yeah, please let us know.
Yeah, please share. Put any ideas in the chat box as well and pass it on. Yeah. I think people often say that during recession, a lot of businesses that start are successful. You've already mentioned about during COVID-19, you've seen the importance of social media, but have you seen any other opportunities about this situation that you're hoping to use? Natalia?
Me? Okay, sorry, I didn't know who. Well, this has been quite difficult, interesting. I didn't say it before, but I actually had coronavirus, and it was awful. I'm only just recovering now, and oh my goodness, I tell you, that was horrible. But it made me think that, you know, I'm so grateful to be able to continue doing my business, to be doing what I love. And I, you know, even if it's hard or whatever, I am gonna try to make the most of the stuff. The situation for panela has not been great because a lot of my customers are food service companies, people who have coffee shops, and they have had to close. So my sales kind of have gone down. I have my biggest customer is an ice cream manufacturer, Roskilde. They are really good and they are excellent customers, but they had to close their production. And anyway, it has not kind of been great. However, I have made the most of my business to customer sales, which is really interesting, because before I wasn't focusing on actually business to customer sales. I was doing some sales online on my website, but it wasn't great. But I think since coronavirus started, people are buying more online. I've been having lots of orders on my website. I started selling on Amazon. Honestly, if any of you have want to kind of start a business and test the water a little bit, I think Amazon is a great place. We have been selling loads, doing fulfillment by Amazon, which is I sell lots of stock and they do the fulfillment, and that has been a great opportunity that I didn't explore before, and I have only explored it because of this situation that we live in and finding it as an opportunity.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses suddenly found new channels for selling things, so they were very agile, and yeah, and I think this sort of thing for nostalgia is very interesting, isn't it? Like all the baking and the bread making, you couldn't get flour and yeast for ages, so there's probably a whole host of bakers out there who could be tapped into. Yeah, so interesting to hear that. Can you say a little bit more? People are curious about the import process to the UK, knowing how difficult or easy that is. Can you say a bit more for us?
Okay, this is actually, you know, it is not as difficult as a lot of people think it is. I think I always say there are people doing this stuff that you don't have to start doing it from scratch. So if you are thinking about imports or exports, you don't have to do it all. There are logistic companies that actually work and have experience doing that, and they facilitate everything. I think the biggest challenge is about quantities. So for us, and Daniela, you know, and I've been working with the plantain crests, and you mentioned this before, you know, importing a pallet from Colombia, or 2 pallets, or importing a full container, the difference in price is not that big, or importing a 20-feet container or a 40 feet, the difference is not that much. So it's like really annoying, because you think, oh, the actual cost of transportation goes so low when it's big quantities. That's why, you know, bigger companies can do and import and export so much. And for us, it's such a difficult thing to reach the volumes in terms of the quantities that we want to buy. In terms of pura panela, I have found challenging not only this is one of my customers there that I haven't met before, but thank you for trying panela. I have found more difficult the actual for panela, because it's such an artisan and rustic product. I have had to import it to a facility in Europe to be repacked. So I would like to import it already all packed and ready, but because the infrastructure in Colombia has not allowed me to do that, I have had to kind of go the longer way around in my logistics and import it to Spain in a facility there, repackage it, and then bring it to the UK, which has been kind of a long way around. So yeah, logistics is not my strong point. It's quite challenging, but it's not as difficult. There are logistic companies to deal with that.
Right, okay, so it sounds like you've definitely found your way through some of that, yeah. So Marina's dropped the Amazon link into the chat box if anybody's interested. You'll get overwhelmed now with orders. Yeah, and people are curious. People are curious about a partnership, because you know, partnerships can be difficult. But how do you get around differences in opinion, conflict? How have you managed that so far?
We haven't fight yet, which is good. So I think it's just understanding the strength of each other and pointing out what the outcomes will be. I think that's what Natalia and I've been doing. So it's like, okay, if we do these, what would happen? These are A, B, C, D scenarios. What should we do? What do you think? What do I think? Most of the time, we completely agree, which is really, really, really good. But sometimes, for example, I rely more on Natalia's experience, or Natalia relies more on my adventures and not knowing what's going to happen because I'm a first-time entrepreneur. So I think it's just communication is key and understanding each other. For example, we know that I work better in the mornings, Natalia works better in the afternoon, so we meet in the middle, and that's how I think it's the best thing to work with a partner.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So you know one another's strengths and you play to that, you find the middle way. Yeah, meeting in the middle of the day. Anything else you want to add to that, Natalia?
Yeah, no, I think this is very true. I think communication and being open and being able to discuss. We have not been going for that long, so I'm sure a difference in opinions and way of doing things perhaps would be challenging. But I think communication is what kind of have kept us going and being able to understand each other. Yeah, and compromise a little bit. I think it's difficult for me that I've been working alone for so long that I, you know, sometimes it can be quite difficult, but I try to be very receptive and flexible. And I like that Daniela has that fresh kind of mind that sometimes when you have been doing something for so long, you kind of get used to it and it's difficult. But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so I just want to bring Marina in briefly. Natalia just mentioned about the fact that she was selling sweets when she was young. Did your family prepare you in any way, Marina, for becoming entrepreneurial?
That's a really good question. You know, none of my parents run businesses. You know, they had traditional jobs. My mom was a teacher and my dad was working in advertising. But I have to say that all my brothers and myself run our own business, so they must have done something with regard to education to make us entrepreneurs. And I was reading a talk about we have a project called Parentpreneur, so I have been doing a lot of research about what makes an entrepreneur especially when you have little children. And one thing, believe it or not, is tasks and chores, giving people responsibilities for doing something that can have an impact. And also, my parents from a very early age asked us to contribute to the house, even though we didn't have to. So we all had to pay for the supermarket once a week. And I think that really makes you value money, effort, and the impact, you know. And so little things like that, I think, speaking to my brothers was very interesting, what made us run our own businesses. I already had a business when I was in Mexico before I came to the UK, but it was kind of like an opportunity entrepreneurship. I was not really looking for it, but I was open for ideas. So I think one question as well I have for Natalia and Daniela, did you think if you would have stayed back in Colombia, would you be running a business, or is it the UK and the context that the UK brought to you that really made you an entrepreneur?
Okay, I go. Do I go first? Difficult question, Marina, because I was all set up to be a lawyer, work as a lawyer, and I was already kind of in that life, if you like. However, I would not be so sure, because in Colombia, often people have businesses all the time, and even if it's on the side of their jobs. Sorry, it's my cat. So I think perhaps I would not have a fully full-time work as a business. I wouldn't think even that the opportunity here will have been anywhere near as it has been in the UK. But perhaps I would have something on the side. I think I'm always, I'm always selling something. So yeah.
What about you, Natalia, Daniela?
I don't think so. And the reason is my story, my personal story is quite interesting because when I finished school in Colombia, I started university there. And then I had a really bad mental health problem that I ended up in a hospital, in a mental health hospital. And I was a survivor of suicide and all of these things. And I left Colombia as a way of escaping. And I found myself in London in a way. So I moved to London to work and study, and I was just end of my hospital journey, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just knew what was making me really ill was the society that I was building. So I wanted to find myself and be who I wanted to be. And in London, I was able to be myself and be able to be that creative self and be able to explore this entrepreneurship side of me. So I think that if I would have stayed in Colombia, I would have taken the easy way out. I would have probably gone into medication and then just be a lawyer in Colombia, and I would have taken the easy way, but I wouldn't have found real, like deep in me who I was. I know this is really deep, but I think the way or the community in the UK made me who I am right now, made me explore that creativity and that entrepreneurship in me. So I think that I would have stayed in Colombia. I would have taken the easy way, because this is not the easy way at all, but is the real way, if that makes sense.
So you found a way to really be you and link it up with your purpose, yeah. And I think you know, I commend you both for incredible courage and determination to start businesses. Thank you all. Thank you, Natalia, Daniela, and Marina, for telling us about your stories. If you look in the chat box, there's an evaluation form. We'd be extremely grateful if you would complete that for us, please. As our events are partly funded by the EU, we need to just submit that. So we'd be very grateful if you could just complete that and send it back. It's quite short. So I don't have any more questions. Does anyone have any more questions to round us off? Marina, did you want to say anything else?
No, I think I would just ask Danny and Natalia, maybe if you could give advice as part of your journey, right? Because I know, Natalia, when you started, your business, having those conversations we had, if you could go back, what kind of advice would you give to people that were all here listening to you? What would you have done different? What would you have changed, or maybe nothing?
Okay, that's quite difficult question. My advice, I don't know if I would have changed things or done things different. I think everything has been a learning thing. I know it's very cliche, but it has been a learning journey. Perhaps I would have taken other decisions. Looking back, I regret certain decisions that I took, but I guess everybody has these things. But I would say to people that this is not easy, that is challenging. And my advice would be to really understand why you are setting up a business, what is driving you, because that has to be bigger than anything else, because the business and the product and the service can be anything. I could be, I was selling panela, now I'm selling plantain chips, and the product can change, but that reason why you're doing it and what is the biggest or the bigger kind of picture of what you want to achieve and why you're doing it has to be so great that no matter what happens, you don't lose that sight, if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that I will add to that, there's a really good book and really good TED talk called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And I feel we have to apply that all the time to our business and our lives in general. And it's that if you start with the why, everything else will fall into place. The only advice I will give myself will be start, just start. Like if you want to start a blog, just start it. If you want to start a YouTube channel, just start it. Because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And if you know your why, everything else will fall into place. So yeah, I think that would be my only advice.
Great, thank you. And I just want to share with you before we leave the screen here, which just tells you a little bit about final opportunities, Enova's up and coming opportunities. And if you're interested in those, have a look at our website. And if you want to have a look at the project, this is the ELYME project. There's more information on the website there about the project. So thank you so much to our participants for coming along today. We've really appreciated you being here and your questions. Thank you so much to Natalia and Daniela, and also to Marina for telling stories. And people are really seeming to appreciate your inspiration that you've given us here. Fantastic. So thank you so much. And do check out Enova's website, check out for upcoming events. We'd really like to see you at our forthcoming events. So thank you for your time today. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Would you like to say?
No, I just really want to thank Natalia, especially because she's in Colombia, had to wake up so early, must be right now, the middle of still like 5 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, it's 5:50. I woke up at 3:30.
Oh, I hope you can get back to bed with your cat that is already going like, why is Natalia awake at this time? And Daniel, as well, you are somewhere up in the north and had to sort out all the technology. So that is what a real entrepreneur does, right? Making it happen.
Absolutely.
I'm in the middle of the field. I really wish you guys could see my scenery because it's just like fields.
That's beautiful. Maybe another business idea will come from that. That's for sure. Knowing you both guys, maybe something will come up.
One at a time. One at a time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And please don't forget to complete the evaluation form. We will really appreciate that. It's in there in the chat.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have
Bye,
a good day.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.